Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as always, we'll be talking about our weekly Torah portion, Parshas Beha'alotcha, when the candles of the menorah would be raised or lit. But I want to talk to you about something else, because there is a very unique moment in this weekly Torah portion when finally we are called a nation. Not necessarily a nation, but at least a community. Because before that, when we were leaving Egypt, we were maybe one family, because this way or another we were great children of the same grandfather, our father Yaakov. Or other way around, we were just a group of the people without identity that was just escaping the oppression of Egypt, and definitely not one sotu. Or otherwise, we were the group of different nations that still were totally separated. But this way or another, in the desert, we already received the Torah, the commandments, which this way or another identify who are the Jewish people. We constructed the temple, we're ready to go. And then Torah tells us that we're moving with the sounds of the silver trumpets. And it's literally said that when you will listen to the sound of hear the sounds of the silver trumpets, you will gather together the congregation, Edah, or you will get together as a camp to move on. So the question is, are we Edah or camp, Machaneh? Why Torah has to overcomplicate this? Why it's called by the two different titles if we are already unified under one national identity? So the simple explanation brought by Rashi of Shlomo Yitzchaki that there were two types of the sounds made by trumpets. The first one, when we talk about Edah, it's about calling everybody to the communal gathering, and this is why it's called Edah, congregation. On the other hand, when it's the different sound was bringing together people to the formation of the camp when we were moving on. But Rabbi Yosef Soloveitchik, one of the greatest rabbis that lived in America most of his life in the 20th century, he sees in this two different approaches to the Jewish identity. The sound of the trumpets that called for the camp formation is the sound of trouble. It's the sound that put us together in order to move. And we were moving for the last 2,000 years, one time from the land of Israel, another time from Spain, from Yemen, from Germany, from former Soviet Union. We were constantly on the move. Why? Because when we were under the oppression, when we heard the sound of the silver trumpets, the sound of trouble, the sound of despair, this was uniting us on the same denomination of the catastrophe, of the tragedy of the Jewish people. But the 20th century brought the terrible destruction for the Jewish people, the Holocaust. And yes, we were united after the Holocaust with the sounds of the trumpets into the camp, but it was more than the camp formation. This was a battle formation, and we start to fight for ourselves. We won. We had our new land and new country and our army that we can protect ourselves. But the question is, are we still a camp? Are we still a machaneh? Or there is a time for the new sound of trumpets, the sound of the silver trumpets that tell us to be a community, a congregation. And in congregation, there is no unity under the same uniform like in the army. We're not united by the same grief, but we are united by our differences and respect one to another. Unfortunately, for 2,000 years, we were united with the sound of the trumpets, the sound of despair. Is it a time for us to create a community, a congregation based on mutual respect? Is it a time for us to hear the new sound of the silver trumpets, the sounds of the peace and unity? Good luck. Thank you. See you next week.